Remember that dark winter Biden promised you? Well, it looks like it'll be coming for a lot of people this winter. Now, we've all been hearing about the incredibly high bills in Europe for heating, but that problem exists right now here in the United States.
I want to give a big shout out to this TikToker for alerting her audience to a problem that is on the horizon for people in places like the Northeast, where I actually come from, and that is the rising cost of energy associated with heating your house in the winter. This is something that's unavoidable, right? Like, it gets so damn cold in the Northeast. You're going to have to use these heating energy sources to make sure your house is able to be habitable. Like, there's no two ways about it. This is not something we can get around. And just so people understand, right, how these private energy companies work in concert with our state governments. There's kind of an understanding that the states had with these energy monopolies, like, look, we're going to let you guys have a monopoly in this industry. It's fine. However, the exchange is that you guys don't get to operate like some other type of business, and you don't get to just price gouge our people whenever you see fit. Which is to say that, yes, you get the luxury of having no competition in your field, and you get some level of subsidization from the state, but you don't get to just run rampant in your pursuits of profits like any other capitalist entity. However, because, capitalists are going to capitalist, these guys are saying that they're going to increase prices in energy this winter in totals of excess of from 50% to 200% on residents in the Northeast.
And in states like Massachusetts, they're worried about the future. They have no idea where prices may go. In Maine, the state office announced that Summit Natural Gas is asking for a 200% increase, the largest ever proposed. In Rhode Island, they've warned of a 50% increase.
The excuse that they're giving, of course, is that they're low on these natural gas reserves, right? And you might think to yourself, wow, the United States, we're like one of the biggest producers of natural gas in the world. Why don't we have like overflowing reserves? We got a ton of natural gas in the country. That's a great question, isn't it? Well, of course, it's because these companies export their excesses in natural gas for profits. There's no reason to keep reserves in their mind, because if they run low, they know they can just ratchet up the prices on customers in the Northeast who have no other choice.
It's because we're too busy exporting it, making high profits, meeting the needs of Europe. And of course, we're being warned of possible power outages. Not to sound like the Game of Thrones, but winter is coming.
Of course, to me, this is precisely what we have a federal government for. There's no way for an individual to go up against these companies and their price hikes. You're literally at the mercy of these people. You need the might of the federal and state governments to come in and be like, guys, like, we get it, y'all running low, but you can't just do this and rape and pillage our people like this just because you guys shipped out your reserves. That's exactly why we need the government to step in these times of need, because there's no avoiding the winter in the Northeast, and people are going to need this energy source. Which leads me to my last point, that not every single sector of the economy needs to be commodified and privatized. I don't think we should privatize healthcare. Like, people can't avoid these things. They need to go to the doctor when they're sick. We shouldn't be charging them out the ass for these services. I think the same thing is true of energy, especially if you live in places in the country where it's unavoidable that it gets cold as hell. This is not a luxury to heat up your home. People shouldn't be using this necessity as a way to essentially extort you for excesses and profits, right? The avarice is so obvious here. Like, there's no reason to do this. I don't know if the answer is to nationalize these industries or to very heavily regulate them in such a way that people can't just go cowboy with their pursuits of profits and, we treat people fairly.